Welcome back to another episode of Together is Better. My name is Jeff Clark. I'm the CEO of Nitor. And joined with me today is my good friend and business partner, Krishna Mamidipaka. Krishna, welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Bad. All
Thanks
right.
for the partnership.
So, funny story. I know you know this one, but for the audience here. So, when we first kind of started out, kind of getting into this whole story about what are we going to do about supply chain, we did this kind of round robin around a lot of SAP leadership, and we went to several people, and then we went to Greg Metchkin, who leads supply chain, and he said, "So, what's your thoughts? Or, it's a very important area for us. Are you guys going to get into it?" And I said, "Yeah, we certainly want to." And he stopped me, and he just said, "No. We're not going to allow that." And I said, "Well, okay, well then who should we partner with?" And before I could even get that out of my mouth, he said, BizBrain. And he mentioned you specifically. So that was how you and I first got introduced. And so tell us a little bit about your background before we kind of get into some other really good topics. But
Sure. So, Jeff, Greg is only, he has got only one way of getting things done.
his way,
His way. There is no other way. His way.
which I respect.
Which I respect,
Yeah.
as usual. Right?
Yeah.
So he called me in 2015. I was at Kellogg's. We were implementing IBP.
Mm-hmm.
He called me and he said, Krishna, you want to do something different? I said, yes. What do we want to do? You guys are doing IBP. Why don't you get to the supply chain collaboration?
Yeah.
I told him, yeah, we'll look into it. I kept dragging it for a couple of years.
Well, it was just getting started then too.
That's just getting started.
Yeah.
Right? He's just getting started. He needed partners to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think his challenge was he didn't want to just work with the procurement partners. He wanted to work with the supply chain partners.
Totally different.
Total different
Stakeholder,
areas.
story, value proposition,
Everything is different,
Yep.
right? So he never, if you talk to Greg never used the word procurement. He always talks about supply chain, right?
Yeah.
So we waited for 3 years. We were not going anywhere. We were busy with IBP work.
Mm-hmm.
One day he called me and he said, look, either you're going to do it, I'm going to get you out of the list. Choose which one you want to do it. And he puts the phone, he didn't even listen.
Totally hear that conversation.
Yeah. So Greg dropped it, okay? And the guy actually helped that conversation is Brooke Williams, who leads the North America Tiger team,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, Brooke's
so that's
amazing.
how we started. And Greg went to the services team, get BizBrain up and running in 3 months. And that's how we started in 2021.
So what do you think was the main reason? Because you guys have so much experience with IBP. You understand that space better than anybody.
I think, Jeff, to that point, nowadays, you go to any conversation with any customer, they don't talk about application.
Yep.
They don't talk about line of business. They talk about either customer or they talk about their suppliers.
Yep.
End of the day, how is everybody helping to take care of their customers, right? So conversation is always about the planning, then procurement and the execution and the visibility. All these topics are coming together. So they need somebody who understands this end to end. In fact, this year, I haven't heard any single deal where conversation is not about application. Hey, I have a shortage with my suppliers, or I'm not getting my finished products, or my suppliers are not responding. What do we do? What's the problem? Problem is not actually at the execution. It starts at the planning level.
Correct.
Right? So you need somebody who understands end to end. And that's where we come. And that's why he wanted us to do this business.
Yeah.
And it started with a very small deal with SAP services. And then the rest is the history.
And the rest is magic.
The rest is the magic. Exactly.
So how long have you been working with Luca?
Okay. It's a long story. So we both started working since 2008, right? Luca is my business partner. Luca and I, we both were at SAP. We were part of the COO team.
Yep.
Chief operations operations team. And our job, here's what our job was. We have to go and look at the products and we have to report it back, why product sucks. Okay, that was our job. We were more like investigative officers.
Right.
Everybody hated us.
Detectives.
Yeah, everybody hated us. They love to hate us, but we put the whole end-to-end story.
But you were the truth tellers. You were
Yeah.
the ones that said, here are the gaps.
Yeah.
Here are the things that are not working efficiently. These are the things that we need to focus on solving for our clients.
That is one part of it.
Yeah.
We were not only looking at a services part of it, we were looking at what was the original business case, what were the conditions, what were they put for the business case.
Right.
And then look at actually what is happening. So you're looking at the go-to-market, enablement, services, references, demos. We were looking at end-to-end. So Luca was doing logistics side, EWM and TM.
Right.
I was doing CRM.
Yeah.
Okay, we both started there. And then that was the time cloud was a bad word in SAP.
Yes.
Right? Cloud was absolutely bad word. You cannot speak cloud there is nothing called a recurring
I was at
revenue.
Ariba at the time, and we
Yeah.
were beating the pants out of SAP all the time.
Exactly.
Leading cloud,
Right.
right? Like this is where all the innovation's going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember when we presented CRM on demand to Bill McDermott, he said, look, guys, SAP runs on the annual software revenues, not on the yearly revenues, no subscriptions, get out of our way.
Yeah, he changed his mind pretty quick on
He
that.
changed very quickly, right? The move.
$20 billion later of M&A.
Exactly. Then
Yeah.
things have changed. And that's how I met Luca. We both were working in SAP. It was around 2011. Okay. Luca left SAP. He had to leave. He was in SAP for 15 plus years. He wanted to do something different. He went to a startup. I continued. And that's when the HANA came. HANA was just picking up the momentum, right? And one of the challenges with the supply chains is you have to handle large volumes of data. You cannot handle with the client-server architecture. You needed something like HANA. Once HANA came in, it's not only S4, what you guys are saying it, but also the whole supply chain, sales and operations planning. SAP has done many applications, but it never had the speed.
Right.
When we saw that opportunity, I called Luca. I'll tell you, that was 2012, December 31st. I was in San Francisco with the family for the year end. He called me, Krishna, I'm leaving the startup. Luca, what happened? No, man, we got to move. I invited him to my house. I still have the picture in my basement. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
I still have that picture. We went to Staples. We got the whiteboard. I showed him the pipeline about what's happening with supply chain solutions. That's how actually BizBrain got created.
That's awesome.
So Luca was the first guy. I was still in SAP.
Right.
The first deal we did was one of the large oil account in Houston. I can't give you the name.
Sure.
So he went there. He helped SAP to get the implementation done. What you have in today in IBP supply engine is actually co-innovated where Luca was working. That was the first deal we closed. Then we closed EMC in Boston. I had to come out of it. They said, hey, we need Krishna to do
I used to work for them.
Yeah.
I was a data storage guy before I got into software.
God.
Yeah, that was an incredible organization.
So we both started, we both left. He went to Houston, I went to Boston. And that's how the one account at a time. Because our relation within SAP, we know product teams. We know the ecosystem of how SAP operates it.
Yeah.
And that was our value. So Luca comes from the technology side of it. I come from the from the end customer point of view, right?
Yeah.
Before I joined SAP, I used to be a CIO at Fresh Direct New York City.
Yep.
Ground up, we built a $400 million company. That's where I learned how to work with the uncertainty. Every day was a challenge.
Yeah.
So that's how we started together.
Yeah.
And we created IBP. And then 3 years ago, we started SAC Business.
Well, what's interesting too about that is both of those different lenses that you bring, right? So the experiences from Luca, your personal experiences, I think it was the right merger. It really attracted us to you guys on why we wanted to partner with you, because you have to have that full spectrum picture of not just the technology stack, but what the client problem is that you're really trying to solve for, and bring those two together. When we looked back at whether we were going to try to start up our own planning and direct materials, plan-driven procurement, if you want to call it that, but really just supply chain practice, it was just too much. And Greg really was I really appreciate what he said, because as I looked at it as a CEO, like, okay, that's a massive investment. I'm like, what kind of skill sets are we going to need? And again, the whole concept of going partner to partner and bringing strong skill sets like we offer with what you guys do, I think is totally the right approach. But you guys had a really great reputation, you still do, as a real niche specialist in this particular area. And it started to really kind of evolve after COVID. What do you think's really been the mindset for the client? To me, it seems like a light bulb went off in everybody's head about the criticality
of the supply chain.
Supply chain, right?
Absolutely.
And the evolution of it. So where do you think we are now I want to kind of move into the future a little bit here. Where are we now, I guess, in this point in time within SAP, but more importantly in the client mindset of supply chain? Are they where they need to be, or are they still going through a lot of transformation?
I think the transformation is still on, right?
Yeah, too.
All the hurricanes and all other things what have happened, right? And especially, recently what happened in Baltimore, bridge coming down and blocking the channels,
Yeah.
right? I think it is a still long way, irrespective of SAP or non-SAP. The biggest worry the business leaders have is how do they get their products at the right time? For example, there's raw material semi-finished to their manufacturing plants, and when they can deliver it to the customers. That is not going away,
Yeah.
right? You got to have the visibility. You got to know how that is going. If there is a shortage, what is going to happen? You got to get on. You cannot wait for 3-4 weeks. Okay, hey, go to the back office, get me the information. You need the data in real time.
Yes.
End to end, you need to say, if there is some issue, how it is going to impact your customers, you need to know on the fly.
I hear
that problem is not going away.
No, and I think it's amplified as the macro conditions economically, geopolitically. I mean, you look at the Red Sea, you look at Eastern Europe, you look at,
Panama.
all these other factors,
Right.
As you think about risk
Right.
to the business,
Right.
What was interesting for me is when COVID occurred, I would talk to CPOs afterwards and I would ask them, so what was your experience like the first 24, 48 hours after the lockdowns were announced?
Right.
And it was just, they were like, the board immediately reached out. The board said, what is our strategy? What's our visibility? Do we have data? And they're like, most of them were like, I can't help you. Like, I need 3 weeks to get the data. I have no idea who my secondary or maybe tertiary suppliers are. The exposure was just evident at that point.
Exactly. So Jeff, this is real story. What happened? When COVID happened, I was 100 kilometers away from Wuhan in China. We were doing an S4 implementation because if you remember 2016, political environment changed
Yep.
in the United States.
Yeah.
People wanted to get out of the China. So we worked with a company, electronics, equipment manufacturing company. They make transformers and switch gears.
Yeah.
They're JST. They're in Florida right now. They used to be in New Jersey. I used to know their CEO. He called me one day. He said, Krishna, what are you doing? I said, yeah, tell me, Steve, what do you want? Hey, look, we are in China. We got to move to Mexico immediately.
Near shore.
Nearshore, we got to move. We need to move our SAP implementation. And I told him, Steve, I don't do S4. Krishna, I don't need you to do S4. Come and help us to put the strategy. So we did. We moved their S4 implementation to Mexico. And then we went to China to do their complete global implementation. And that happened just weeks before COVID happened.
Wow.
All that happened at one shot, both geopolitical situation and the COVID.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody, nowadays the problem is how do we, I see a big opportunity with whatever, see, the way I operate is, I come from startup world. Every crisis is an opportunity for me.
Yes.
Okay? Yeah, it puts you stressed, but it gets you the best ideas.
Yeah,
right?
it does.
I think nearshore is going to happen. It's happening right now.
I see it happening now.
Right. So I think it is an opportunity for all of us.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm starting to see too a lot of European manufacturing firms, particularly those in Germany, right, where you've got energy constraints, right, due to all the other factors we just talked about, moving operations, Mexico, other areas of LATAM, North America, et cetera.
Yeah.
And I don't see that stopping.
Yeah, no, it's not.
That's going to continue. So.
I mean, look at the landscape, how it got changed, right? Look at this week elections.
Yeah.
It's going to
Got to change again.
change the game again,
Yeah.
right? It's all about how fast, how agile you are to handle the situation.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. As you think about the technology offerings just across the board, right, for supply chain, how do you think SAP today is positioned for innovation and what the clients are really looking for in managing their supply chain? Are they best of breed at this point? Do you think, is there other competitors that are, as competitive and maybe taking more of that market share, or do you think everything just starts changing in a different way.
So, Jeff, what I'm seeing in the situation in the market today, everybody is going after S4 implementations,
Yep.
right? It used to be slow in the past, but now the CIOs and everybody in the company budgets, you are with S4.
Is that because of the maintenance deadline?
Maintenance deadlines.
So the ECC on-prem customers, the legacy customers,
Customers
they're all
are moving-
hustling towards that.
They're
Oh, yeah,
hustling
no
to
doubt
S4,
about it.
right?
Yeah.
But now you're competing with them, right? Because the S4 project started, it's a massive project.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you take Ariba, IBP, SCC, anything, you're competing with S4 money, right? One is money and time.
Yes.
If the CIO need to make a decision or a business need to make a decision, CIO wants to go with S4, obviously, but business doesn't care about S4.
Yeah.
Right. So the thing what we are doing is, which actually look at it one thing recently, and we generally what we do is don't wait for S4 implementation. Go with ECC. You can flip the switch at any point in time. If you wait for S4 to happen, it is going to take 3 to 4 years. That has got its own life cycle.
Yes.
But you can't deliver the business value. Right? Your CMO, CPO, they're not waiting for your technology implementation to be done, right? So what in my personal opinion, what we have to do is you got to be bundled with S4, right? You got to be with the RISE deals. You got to bundle with them.
Grow
and you got
other
to
programs.
grow, RISE, go with them, but don't wait for S4. Show them the value, what you can do. The trick is going to be, in my personal opinion, the trick is going to be, while S4 blueprint is going on, can you go and actually enable IBP or Ariba or AA or SCC quickly? Mm-hmm. Can you deliver the value?
Well, it's an interesting point because SAP's focus obviously is on the core, right? And they want that S4 transformation.
Right.
In a lot of cases, their strategy has been lead with that, right? And then grow and expand through line of business. And I would agree with you. And I would invert that to say, drive value now in the areas that are critical for two reasons. One, value creation. Your line of businesses require a set of tools. It'll perhaps reduce the time or maybe the risk as you move to S4, but you can't wait 4 years in a technology environment that is changing so rapidly with AI and everything else.
Right. Jeff, the topic what you brought up, like political situation, economic situation, how things are moving. Show me a company where business is done within the four walls. Business does not happen within the four walls. You need to work outside your network.
Correct.
Across your boundaries, right? So what I personally believe is part of the RISE deal, commerce automation, SEC, it should be standard package.
Yes.
Don't give the whole thing, give the basic one. Because you get a great ERP, but if you cannot communicate with your partners,
100%.
what the value you're going to do?
Well, it takes you back 20 years.
20 years ago.
Right? Where everything was contained within the four walls, which
Exactly.
is not what a network economy operates on.
Exactly.
Right.
Right?
Agree.
So that's where I think I think that's where it is going. So when it comes to the competition, I think still there is a best of the breed softwares are trying to get in, right? They're trying to get in. But there is a pluses and minuses on both the sides.
Yeah.
You got to see what is going to work. Personally, what I've seen especially with Ariba Network, you better to go with S4.
Yeah.
Go with it can integrate with other systems too, right? When it comes to planning, as you know, in SEC, we have a planning part of it. There is the execution part of it.
Right.
Planning, we see various softwares are coming together.
Yeah.
But the network can work with any backend.
Yes.
So that's not a problem at all. But when it comes to your regular execution, it's better to stay with S4, like PO collaboration type of things, quality inventory. You want to stay with SEC.
Yeah.
Right. So it is combination. It's not just one size fits all.
No.
You have to have ability to connect with anything to anything.
A popular topic that I'm hearing now too is, if you think about the decision matrix within the organization for any technology investment they're going to make, what I'm seeing now is the CFO is way more involved in a lot of ways. There's more seats at the table, if you want to call it that,
Yeah.
right, across the board. But it's more of a phased discussion, right, using agile and trying to drive ROI versus trying to eat the entire elephant in one bite.
Exactly.
And so I think that is the way of the future. Would you agree with that? in terms of what to deploy, get it going, consume it, adopt it, drive value, and then move on to the next thing.
Right. So, Jeff, I'm seeing different scenarios in that one.
Are you?
If the CFO is driving, he's going after money.
Yeah.
He's supposed to go after
Yeah.
the money,
What's
right?
the,
That's his
what's the
job.
best value proposition?
Right. So he's
Bang
going
for the buck.
after, show me the money saving, show me my APR cycle shorter, right? That's what they're looking at.
Yeah.
There is a supply chain. The supply chain comes in, hey, I'm not worried about money. What I'm worried about is my supply chain, right?
Yeah,
So
bring
I see
product to the
both the
market.
things. Both are coming together,
Yeah.
right? You got to see who's driving it.
Yeah. What's prohibiting? Is there any blockers on that now? I mean, is data still an issue? The reporting, the analytics, the visibility that they're getting?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So, for example, we just got the implementation started in Baltimore. There's a company called Emrus. They're actually in aerospace. Okay. They're making tons of money. They have tons of growth. What is their number one problem? Planning does not talk to procurement. Procurement does not talk to planning. How do they do the information? How the information goes? Manual download. People are working in the back office.
Yeah.
The point what I'm trying to make is that problems are there. Quality of the data, having the right information at the right time, and then the intelligence on top of it.
Yeah.
So all the 3 points what you mentioned, they're not going away.
Yeah.
They're haunting people, the business on daily basis.
Yeah. I think it's going to be that incremental journey
Right.
to eliminate those silos
Right.
and then get to that layer to where you've got better collaboration, better data that you can then make better decisions around as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And Jeff, one more point on that one. More than me, Luca drives this one very, very effectively. As a partner, we're not just doing the technical implementations anymore. We are looking at why business is not able to do the business. We don't want to see the sausage making.
Yeah.
IT can take care of that.
Yeah.
Right? When an implementation is going on, adoption is not coming, why it is happening? Because what happens, who's driving the project, right? How much is business involved in it? How much business enablement is done? So for example, on the IBP side, we don't start any project without actually training the business users on the tool so that they can give the right requirements. After the implementation is done, we train them how to use the tool. It's not any more technical implementation. We are talking to the planners.
Yeah.
Same thing we are doing with the supply chain, the SEC side. We are talking to the buyers and suppliers on both the sides.
Which is also where we collaborate.
Exactly.
Right. On change management.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So as you think about that, because, in both, in all of our backgrounds, right?
Right.
Being former technologists in SAP for as long as we were, we saw very successful clients and we saw a lot of clients that were not so successful or just utterly failed. That missing ingredient was always, how do you drive the right change culturally from a process standpoint to speed up that adoption layer and to get people to utilize the process so you're driving that value. And that's for us why we require it with all of our customers. We're like, listen, it's not anymore just about a deployment. It is about the sea change that needs to occur.
Right.
And so we drive that conversation up front. When we collaborate and work with you guys jointly on projects, that's a core component of it.
Let's drill that down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's drill that down. So I still remember we were just going into Dallas for 2022 Spend Connect.
Yeah.
I got the phone call from Eric Mans. Hey, Nitor wants to talk to you. Right? I still remember I was in SAP parking lot in Newtown Square. Kelly and you all guys came on the call, right? I still remember, hey, we need to get this legal agreement. And I said, guys, look, please, don't waste my time. Don't waste my time. Okay, let's actually do 1 or 2 deals. We'll go, right?
Yeah.
And I had I did my homework. Why should I work with Nitor? They're procurement guys. They don't cut. There is nothing for us, right? But one thing what we have seen is what I said. People are looking now end to end.
Yeah.
When it comes to procurement, it doesn't matter whether direct or indirect. It is the same steps you have. Maybe mechanics are different.
Right.
You got to find the supplier. You need to manage the supplier relationship. You need to maintain the quality, risk, all that you need to do it, right? Okay, I see a value with these guys. I think for me, the most interesting thing, of course, meeting you was fun with the dinner we had in
Miami.
You in Miami, you and I had the dinner. But I think that the key thing what hit me is Doug, the OCM team, your team. right? So when we got the first project going on in charter communications, the OCM part of it, right? One, customer recognized how important OCM is and how your team and our team work. We don't do OCM, right?
Yeah.
That's where, for me, the value prop was, okay, Jeff's team knows how to do the procurement. We don't do it. You guys do indirect. You guys do OCM, which we don't do it. So that was for me, it was a perfect marriage.
Yeah. Yeah. The timing, I think, for us to get together,
Right.
with the shift in the market, with the realization of that story you just said, which is
Right.
like the procurement process,
Right.
from indirect to plan driven, the orchestration of all of that behind it.
Right.
We had our gaps, you had yours.
Yeah.
And so how do we then come together?
It was arranged marriage.
It was an
right?
arranged marriage
Right.
that has worked out great.
Right. So let me come with a second example. I think I learned more about Nitor when we were working with the charter communications. Okay. My job only was getting the deal done. Then everything went well.
Right.
Right. And at the Spend Connect in Vegas exactly a month ago,
Yeah.
Charter was on the stage sharing their supply chain network collaboration experience, right? That would not have happened without OCM in place. Okay, that's one. While that was going on, we got another account, King's Hawaiian. Who doesn't know King's Hawaiian orange rolls, right?
Yeah.
Especially Thanksgiving coming, right? So King's Hawaiian,
Yep.
without getting into what happened in the past, right? The challenge with the previous implementation was, partner was not leading it. There was no OCM, unrealistic expectations.
Yes.
Right? When we went and told the customer what we did at Charters, right? Customer immediately said, Krishna, we need OCM. I generally try to lead a deal with OCM part of it. Actually, if it is not OCM, trust me, I personally believe I'm just doing business to get the money.
Yeah.
But if I'm dealing with OCM, I go with the more satisfaction because I'm going to get the adoption, right? So Doug, right now, the kickoff happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Doug is actually leading that effort in the King's Hawaiian right now
Yep.
to do the implementation. It was painful to go from one partner to other partner, but what we brought both of us together,
Yeah.
right? We brought our experience with the manufacturing company, and you guys are coming with your OCM part of it, and that's a proof. It's not just anymore one data point.
No.
So it is all that is happening together.
Yeah, and we're seeing that with some of our competitors who, and this is an example of one of our competitors, who focused exclusively on the technical component and didn't focus on any of the other pieces of it. And I think the maturity of customers now, and especially large enterprise, but just really any business, those that are really on the forefront and say, okay, I'm going to recognize that there is absolutely legitimate requirement for change management are the successful customers.
Right.
And so for you and I both, I remember at that dinner, the first dinner too, we said, listen, the biggest thing that we focus on is referenceability and relationship and trust, right? And I can't, as a business person, go into a client and say, this is all you're going to need to be successful. No. You've got to do that. And that's where, again, I go back to this whole thing of together is better. And the whole reason for this podcast is collaboration within the community is required because we can't all be great at everything. So let's work together with the best of the best in these specialty areas to drive real value for the SAP ecosystem.
Absolutely. Jeff, you summarized it. Like me and Luca, we run with one motive. Okay? We are driven, we always talk, we are brothers from different mothers.
Yeah.
We both have a different styles, but we have a one common goal. That is, whatever it takes, get the customer referenceable. We drive that message
Same with us.
from the top to bottom.
Yep.
Right? The whole organization operates on that one.
Yep.
Touchwood, we do not have any bad implementations. We would rather lose our head, but we want to get any customer we touch, we want the customer to be delighted.
Yeah, we're the same. There's not a lot of companies like
Companies
that.
like that. Exactly.
Right? And I think that's why we are certainly rising to the top,
Right.
because it's a maniacal focus on that.
Yeah.
And if we screw up, then we own it.
Right.
But we also do things differently. Like one of the things I like about the way you guys operate is the depth and the breadth of the pre-contracting process. Like,
yeah.
we really want to understand the why,
Yeah.
and we bring in all the right resources up front. There's full transparency with a client,
Right.
They understand what they're getting into, and a lot of times, I've been on phone calls with you where you absolutely challenge the client. You're like, that's never going to work. You got to reimagine that. You have to rethink that. Here's the options that we would offer to you.
Right.
That's the truth telling that is required in a very fast changing technology environment.
Yeah,
and a lot of people are just like, oh, yes, okay, sure. Wrong, right? I'm not going to have a client fail because we refuse to be strong enough to say that's a terrible thing to do.
You see, both me and Luca, either we lose a deal, but
Yeah,
we
I'll
don't
rather
want to
lose
go
it.
into a wrong deal. We
Yeah.
don't want to go into a wrong deal just for getting the deal.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be nightmare
And we've
to
walked
manage.
together
Yeah.
from some of those.
Some of those,
Yeah,
right?
we're like,
Yeah.
they don't get it.
The
I'm not
water
gonna-
cooler company in Austin. Yeah, exactly. We walked
For
out
sure,
of the deal.
for
Exactly.
sure.
Yeah.
So a lot of changes coming in the SAP ecosystem.
Right.
I just left the partner advisory board meeting
And
about a
Spend
month ago.
Connect, yeah,
during
same
Spend
time,
Connect
Spend
a month
Connect,
ago. Massive transformation, I think. Big focus on the partners. What's your take on SAP's partnering strategy, and how do you think partners should be prepared for it?
I think, Jeff, knowing SAP, I've been in the SAP world since ECC 3.0,
Yeah.
R3 3.0.
Yeah.
You can guess my age, okay? I've seen.
you look so young,
I know,
my
I know. What happens in this business is, SAP is a massive company, okay? There are different teams with the different KPIs, they're all driving it. As a partners, our job is to drive all the divisions together, right?
Yep.
And I think if you look at the Spend Connect, what happened? Everybody loved BizBrain Nitor party, right? Me and Jack, we were managing the traffic. Instead of partying, we were actually sitting in the front and managing people, right?
Yeah.
How many people are going to come? Here is the constant feedback I got from SAP. Oh, you guys are the perfect marriage, both Nitor and BizBrain,
Yeah.
right? I think, where I'm going with that comment is, I think our relationship is the right thing to connect in the SAP world, right? I think SAP is going through its own transformation like any other company. They're going through their challenges, right? I think that's an opportunity for us. I think the more and more we integrate with the sales teams, I think that's what you guys do a great job, right? Your team, Jim, Pete, Daniel, all these guys help us a lot. You guys are into the sales teams. We are there with you guys. I think I see that actually mid-market is going to go through a challenge, right? I think that is where I think if we can all get our brains together on the mid-market, I think it'll help us actually we need to help SAP so that we can get help.
Yeah, I look at the partner ecosystem, and I think there's roughly 26,000 partners globally. And look, I mean, you have a massive multi-billion-dollar company with 400,000 customers around the globe. You need a very healthy, robust ecosystem. But in my opinion, it's gotten too large.
Yeah.
And so if you go back in time to, let's say, 2010, Oracle kind of had the same volume of partners. And as they shifted in their go-to-market, it forced different behaviors and capabilities into the partner ecosystem. And you're going to have some people that are going to survive, others that are going to thrive, and others that are going to fail. And so I think we're kind of in that next step as well. And so as we think about timing, I think capabilities are going to be a big piece of that as they look at full suite, all suite, right? Understanding, owning a customer lifecycle and that entire journey, all the way through from, the kind of the genesis of that pursuit, to the implementation of it, to the adoption of it, and then all the other things that they could and should be doing throughout a customer for life mentality.
Right.
So that's going to continue. So I think it's going to be a big shift.
Absolutely.
Right?
I see it.
We're seeing it right now.
I'm seeing it already.
Yeah.
Right. I think, by the time we come to FCOM 2025, I think things will start settling in, and I think they'll get ready for the bigger year next year.
Yeah.
Right. I think, we got to work closely. I mean, look at the reason why you and I got connected because of the SAP partner ecosystem, because of Eric, right?
Yeah.
That's all happened.
Yeah.
Right. Now we need to go closely with the Tiger team. Keith Barnaski's overlay sales team. I think DSC is going to come together.
Yeah.
I think our advantage is we are focused on very specific areas. We are not wide on every
Yeah.
SAP topic.
Yeah. Do you think that for those partners that are that wide, to me, it's always like it's like kind of the hammer or the scalpel, right? If I need surgery, I don't want to. If I have a heart surgeon need or heart need, I need a heart surgeon. I don't need a orthopedic or a generalist, right? So I think there's always going to be that need for those very specific, and I think the market has shifted to where they want incredibly depth in the specialties to understand those processes. Because if you were to take a generalist to do what you did, just like our mindset was, okay, well, maybe we'll go jump into that. And they were like, no way. No. It is entirely too complex. You need 20 years of experience to do that well, because you're driving revenue on the direct side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you need to have a thought leadership. You cannot just hire a few people to do the implementation.
No.
Like you need to have the vertical strategy in it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that is where I think we are going to be different from the other partners.
Yeah.
I think we need to partner with a little more S4 partners who does not do what we do. I think they focus on core. I think we can do that special topics.
Yeah.
Right. I think you guys are doing it. We are doing it.
Yeah.
We worked on a couple of deals like that, right?
Yeah.
I think that's where the path is going to be.
I think so too. I think there is a partner-to-partner strategy.
Right.
Right. There'll be an M&A strategy for others, right? But the partner-to-partner makes a lot of sense. And we see that, you see that, we've been combined to, like you just mentioned. I think that's going to be the ideal model. I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on, the big five, that are out there.
I think there is a market for everybody.
But I agree, but I think it does put pressure on them in some capacity because we're faster, we're leaner, we have better talent in a lot of cases, right? We're not so bloated as some of those large, big ones. And I'm not going to name names because that's not what I do. But, those have their own skill sets and their own uniqueness. I think we're more like a very specialized, fast team. We can get in there, get our hands dirty, drive the outcome in a much better way.
Right. So Jeff, actually you want to have the big boys. Like I'll tell you why. If you look at our pipe last year and this year, more than 50% of the deals came because big boys screwed it up.
No, 100%.
Right? Because their focus is much bigger. They don't focus on specific line of business.
Yes.
I think it's good for us.
Yeah.
We want them to do it.
That's
You
a great
continue
point.
to do it. You continue to do your job.
And we keep beating them.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which
I
is
think,
great.
we all work together on that one. I think, so if every deal is like, I see more deals coming that way.
I want to take a step back just to one other category area that we missed, which is AI, ML, right? You have all these massive innovations that are coming. The more conversations that I'm having, the more excited I get. I saw Eric Schmidt, CEO of Google, had come out several months ago and did a talk at Stanford University. And what he said was very profound. And, you kind of have that Moore's Law concept, right? Where every couple of years, your data is doubling. But he said that basically the capability for learning within some of these AI algorithms and programs is happening every 2 months, like doubling. So you see this advancement from SAP for Joule and everything else. What do you think it's going to do to supply chain? Is it going to revolutionize that? Because to me, it seems like you still need that category manager depth, planner depth, all of that. How's AI going to change that process?
Let's go with an example.
Okay,
let's go with the example. One of the recent big aerospace company, the doors went off in the middle of the air, right?
Yes.
So what happened? In the A&D side, in the A&D side, regulations are tight,
yes,
right? Inspection has become very, very critical. They don't want to get the inspection done at the last minute.
No.
They want to get the inspection done before the semi-finished product. Let's say door or engine, before it comes to the assembly, they want to get it inspected.
Sure.
You have tons of inspection reports, right? Suppliers have to submit all that inspection reports. Who's going to read it?
Great point.
Right? Who's going to read it, right?
And keep things on track.
To keep on track, right?
Yeah.
So when you come in the morning, you have that information ready, right? And AI, obviously, there are massive, big topics. But let's talk about our day-to-day life, right? So now what happens? You put AI, some bot, which is going to read all the inspection report, get you the information. So that when you start your day, you as a buyer, you have that information in your hand, or as a quality inspector, it looked at all the data, it predicted whatever it has to predict it gives it to you, right? So I see more and more use cases in our day-to-day life,
really
but
interesting
definitely
one.
going to the bigger piece. Don't get me wrong. I mean, board areas, at a different levels, you need this AI information at various places, but day-to-day, the life it is going to change. I think, in my opinion, it's not going to replace the jobs, it is going to enhance it.
Yeah.
What
I
is
would
going to replace your job? If you don't use AI, somebody will come and replace you. Better you start using it.
I actually heard that the other day, and I thought, yeah, that's about spot on.
Exactly.
I'll give you an example of that. So I was putting together a board deck, and I didn't have all like just the formatting and everything else that usually I obsess over.
Yeah.
And I didn't put in any of the data, but I wanted it in a certain way. So I asked it just to come up with something. 15 seconds later, I basically had the perfect everything that I needed, and then all I had to do was just put in my tables and all that other stuff. I 100% agree with you on that, and I think that's a great use case that you provided about A&D, because at the quality level, okay, that machine, the algorithm, can extract what's wrong and do that interpretation in seconds. Versus going through a 128-page assessment of what happened here, and then provide 2 or 3 different things that need to happen to it.
That's where I see.
That's efficiency right there.
That's where efficiency is, right? Like this, like in quality, like in procurement, right? I think the use cases, what I'm seeing it, is in your day-to-day operations, okay, just within the procurement and supply chain, I think it is going to revolutionize.
So would you say then that SAP and partners in general too will be developing and wanting to come up with industry-specific use cases?
Absolutely.
I agree. And then I would say you can even take that. I think there's going to be a whole cottage industry set up, and you're starting to see it on the SAP store, right? To where they're now saying, okay, well, you can come up with these workflows, specific industry use cases. I think that's going to be the future.
Absolutely, right? SAP is going to do the massive ones, right? But still, you brought up the workflow topic. Where is the most of the problems come? Oh, I didn't see my email. Oh, I didn't see that message, right? You need that workflow. I think if the AI comes along with the workflow, I think it is going to be, I've seen a couple of partners in Spend Connect. I was surprised. Oh my God, these guys are doing an outstanding job. Okay. So I think it is going to go in a big way. I think,
Do you think intake and orchestration are going to revolutionize or augment? I think they're going to augment some of that process as well, because if you look across all these different disparate applications, nobody cares how the sausage is made, like the analogy you gave earlier, right? I don't care what system it's touching. I just don't want to do it from system to system to system. I want to have it all fed in, interpreted, provide 2 or 3 different questions for it, and let it go do its thing.
That's it.
Across all the different backends.
Exactly. Right. I don't think you're going to have a customer with just SAP solutions. Even within SAP has got many other applications, right? The acquired applications, homegrown applications, and all. You need that process orchestration.
Yeah, you do.
Across the applications.
Without a doubt. Well, hey, I am super grateful for your time today, for the partnership that we've got. I'm excited for the future here. This has been a great conversation. So thank you so much for your time and for coming in here to do this with us.
Oh, same here, Jeff. Same here. Looking forward to.
Yeah,
right?
Same.
We started our relationship 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have something for Steve. I'm getting his gift is coming.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
For Kelly, not for Steve. Kelly.
Yeah, for Kelly.
He's getting his gift. He's going to get his gift. But I think
the one that we talked about, by the way.
Exactly. 210. Yes. He's going to get it. I ordered already. Okay.
Fantastic.
No, but I think what I'm looking toward this one is. I just want to summarize our relationship.
Sure, please.
I think what we are doing on a day-to-day stuff with Doug and Pete and Jim and Daniel, I think that is needed. I think what I've seen this year, right, in the field, in the SAP field, Nitto BizBrain are together. These guys are doing indirect, these guys are doing direct. That's a perfect marriage, right? Now we need to take it to the next level. On the go-to-market side. How do we all work together? Right? That's what I'm looking at it. I think you guys are like a more big brothers to us when it comes to the go-to-market side, right? and we will come and help you to get everything done.
Yeah.
I see momentum is in the right direction,
Yeah.
right? It's not a just charter now, King's Hawaiian.
Yeah.
I'm sure there will be more, okay? And especially we doing the King's Hawaiian project, now the field knows, oh, these guys are not casual guys, right? They come and recover the accounts. They help SAP to sell more, right? I think I see that is one is the day-to-day stuff, what is happening, but at the relationship level, at the higher value side, for SAP, they're going to make a phone call to us.
Yeah.
Guys, these are the guys we need to get them in.
Yeah. I think as long as we keep doing what we're doing, which is driving outcomes,
Yeah,
focusing maniacally on these clients,
exactly.
and then leading into this really bright future, which all this stuff,
Absolutely.
it's going to be super
Absolutely.
exciting.
I'm super excited about our relationship.
Yeah,
I think
same.
I see the results. This year I've seen the results coming in the right direction.
Yeah, nothing good is easy or comes quick, right? But the foundations are laid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the relationship with the way we all operate, right? I think it's going in the right way. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
You.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Together is Better. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.